Ms. Hassim, it was indicated to me whilst I was looking that way that you wanted to say something, please.
Chair, in fact, at the point at which I was going to intervene, I was going to say that I don't need to be as restrained as the commissioners perhaps need to be in addressing this issue that the chair has raised. But then you went on. There are a couple of things that I must put on record from the perspective of the evidence leaders. This communication in the public with the media is of great concern to us because it does bring the work of the Commission into disrepute. There can be no doubt about the impression that's created by these kind of remarks. Now, on this last point, on the first point, which is that the leak, the point of the leak, the answer, the prudent response would have been, I will not speculate, full stop.
I said I was going to come to the timing. I forgot, but let me leave it now. I think we've debated it, and Mr. Khan has tendered an unreserved apology, I think, in respect of both issues that I raised with you.
I confirm that.
Thank you. Please continue, Ms. Hassim.
Thank you, Chair. All I'm saying is that the answer, the appropriate answer would have been, I will not speculate, full stop. Nothing further. But instead, the comment went on to suggest a link between the filing of papers on the Commission and the terrible incident that followed. Or, in fact, it didn't follow, according to the timeline. And this is important. Why don't we know? Because there's been no formal communication by General Khan's legal representatives with this Commission until we specifically requested it. So on the 29th of June, the letter that my learned friend referred to says the following. It says, we note with concern, and it was sent in the morning, we note with concern the media reports that your client, Major General Khan, was shot last night. We are relieved to understand from those reports that Major General Khan survived the attack and is receiving medical care. We wish him a full and speedy recovery. That's the first thing. The second thing is, what we're trying to say is we're hearing this from the news. We're hearing this from media, from social media. It's not factual information on which we're entitled to simply rely without more, especially since we are engaged and have been engaged with General Khan's legal representatives for some time.
Actually, to add to that, as I said earlier, I don't have the page numbers. Mr. Khan says, I will not go to the question, but he says, we await an indication from the Madlanga Commission as to the way forward. So they themselves were choosing to remain supine, just folding their hands and doing nothing. That adds to the point that you are
Precisely,
making.
Chair. That was a point I was going to make, and I'll point to the part of the record that the Chair is referring to, because we cannot rely on media reports in order to understand how we are to move forward on something as, as serious as this. So this is the reason for this communication. One, to express our concern, and two, to get a response on the record what exactly is happening. And so the letter went on to say that in the light of your client's scheduled appearance, this was 2 days before General Khan was due to appear. So the letter says, in light of his scheduled appearance, we request that you urgently inform the Commission of the facts. That's what's in the letter. Concerning the incident, the nature of the extent of his injuries, expected period of recovery. It went on to say, please provide a medical report from General Khan's attending physician to address these issues. Not because we doubt anything, but because the appropriate course of action by the legal representatives is to put the Commission in the know. That's why. And we said so. The final paragraph It's just, in the letter says, this information is required so that the chair may consider the position and issue such directions as may be appropriate regarding General Khan's scheduled appearance. That was the reason for the request. So the legal representatives were in possession of this letter before my learned friend addressed the media. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, as Mr. Valley has now said, Ms. Wilsnack had contacted him on the morning of the event to alert him to this correspondence. So he had the contact number of Ms. Wilsnack, the attorney for the commission. Why did he not pick up the phone and seek to verify the claims of the people who were purporting to be representatives of the Madlanga Commission, who were there trying to get access to General Khan? That would have been the appropriate course of action. They didn't do that. Now, which leads me to say that the responses that we are now receiving to the questions that are posed by the chair regarding the content of this media briefing is a convenient, sort of after the fact, opportunistic response to the questions, because now, being faced with it, there's a gloss that's being applied to these answers, because none of this would have happened if what I'm saying had taken place, which is contact the commission directly. You had the contact number, and you didn't do so. So the last part of the communications in the media briefing is what the chair refers to, and that's so I'll give the chair the reference. Yes, it is on page 10. And it's just above line 10. It's line 7, where my learned friend says, well, of course, he was due to appear on Wednesday. We await an indication from the Madlanga Commission as to the way forward. So on what basis was the Madlanga Commission going to be able to provide a way forward? Because there had been no formal communication between the legal representatives and the Commission's representatives. So I just wanted to make that clear, Chair. And certainly from the side of the evidence leaders and the legal team, there were no such instructions regarding any visits or any sort of directives to check on the physical condition of General Khan. One last point I wish to make in regard to this media statement. It is concerning the delivery of the information, disclosure of evidence on the weekend. And it was repeated.
If you are raising that in relation to the in-camera application, that application is withdrawn, or unless you... Sorry.
Sorry, Chair. It's not just about the in-camera application, because if it was raised in relation only to the in-camera application,
yes.
Well, actually, I didn't even address it because I haven't responded to my but it's withdrawn.
Yes.
But this was made in the public. This was a media statement that seeks to convey an impression that there is unfair practices that are taking place in the Commission, by the legal team, by the evidence leaders whatsoever in relation to General Khan. And that is incorrect, and it can't be allowed to stand. It is true that there was a volume of material that was provided to General Khan on the weekend. That information was the same information. First of all, it was information that it included information that had been provided to General Khan at the time of the answering affidavit in the urgent application, which was around the end of the first week of June. One set of chats, which was the chat between General Khan and Mo Sayed. And then it included all of the information that had been provided on 15th June, what my learned friend complained about, these spreadsheets, the WhatsApp communications, these lengthy lines of communications in the spreadsheets. That was provided to my learned friend on the 15th of June. What was provided on the weekend was a more usable format of exactly the same information, an easier to read format of the information, and in fact, a truncated version of that information, because by then we had curtailed exactly what it is we wish to refer to when we were going to be questioning General Khan. So it was a subset of information that had been provided on the 15th of June. What was new was the financial information, and what was included there were financial disclosure forms that General Khan had provided to his employer over a period of several years, which we wished to question General Khan on, because when you look at that, together with his finances and his financial position, the two do not tally. So in order to alert the legal representatives that we would be doing that, we provided the financial disclosures and then the bank information, and there was a summarized version of the financial, of the bank account information. It was in a spreadsheet which said in globular terms, these are the companies in which you have a shareholding or in which you are director. This is the inflow and outflow of the finances in these companies, summarized in the spreadsheet. Of course, we provided the underlying documentation, the underlying data, so that if the legal representatives wanted to look at any particular line item and check the workings in the spreadsheet, they may do so. That's what it was. So the suggestion that they could not have provided a statement, and Chair, this is also an important point. We never received...
Before you move on to that point, just to confirm, at page 8, Mr. Khan said, so of recent days, we have had the Madlanga Commission on Friday deliver some 37,000 lines of WhatsApp material. And then he goes on to say, and yesterday, as late as yesterday, they delivered some 8,000 pages of further documentation. Is this correct or not, from what you're saying now?
I'm not sure what I think the 37,000 lines of WhatsApp material is what was provided on 15th of June. What was provided on the weekend was it wasn't lines of WhatsApp communication. It was the actual depiction of those WhatsApp chats as the commissioners are familiar with when we take witnesses through. So it looks like what you see on your phone. That's what was provided.
Do you provide 8,000 pages as at yesterday of the incident? Of this
the 8,000 pages would have included the WhatsApp communications, which ran to over 6,000 pages. That's true. But as I said, that body of evidence was a subset of what had already been provided. It's not new material, and in fact, it was in a more, as I say, usable format for General Khan's purposes. So it's not true that there was new information.
Thank you.
Just a minute, Ms. Hassim. Yes, Ms. Hassim.
So, Chair, I mean, all of this was meant to you know, I presume, no, there's one more point in the media briefing that's important. And that is at page, it starts at the bottom of page 2. And it's around line 22. And this is where my learned friend says the following. He has been, and that's General Khan, actively participating and preparing himself to testify and fully cooperate with the Madlanga Commission. And he intended this Wednesday to fully lay bare involvement of senior members of the South African police services in certain offences and criminality, as well as speaking to criminal syndicates and what appears to be interference designed to destabilize certain portions of our community. Now, Chair, we never received a statement that addresses any of these issues. Those issues, I presume, would have not been dependent on the information that we provided General Khan. This is what he says he intended to lay bare. And that statement could have been provided to the Commission at any time. In fact, it could have been provided to the Commission before a Regulation 10.6 notice was issued to General Khan. These particular topics, we have not ever received a statement from the Commission setting this out. So that was never in the Commission's possession at any time, let alone at the time that the in-camera application was.
Is it not possible that a point might be made that his submissions could not have been expected to be piecemeal, and that he would have wanted to make one submission addressing everything?
I would want to hear that submission in full in order to respond to it, because even if that is so, there's no reason for why, and we can go through the 10.6 notice, I don't propose to do so. The information that was requested in the 10.6 notice was information that General Khan could have answered. It wasn't dependent on information, further information from us. So why I'm pointing out this paragraph is because it seems to suggest that it is this kind of information that General Khan was going to reveal to the Commission that put him at risk. But we never received a statement that sets out what I've just read out from this statement, Chair. So, Chair, those are the submissions I wished to make from the perspective of the evidence leaders on the media statement, because we took objection to the content of the statement.
But also, Ms. Hassim, if he didn't file this, as I recall, the 10.6 notice fixes a date by which a statement must be submitted.
Correct.
So that would have been the case here. And if he didn't file by that day, you couldn't claim that he was cooperating with the Commission.
In fact, he had not complied.
Yes.
And we then granted an extension.
Yes.
And then he did not comply. In fact, the last communication on when the statement was going to be delivered was along the lines of, we can't comply with your deadline. We will file it when we are ready, and it will be sometime. It will be before the 1st of July. And in fact, it never came.
Thank you.
Ms. Hassim, oh, by the way. Yeah. Ms. Hassim, I'm quite mindful of the fact that the application for an in-camera hearing has been withdrawn. But on the issue of how we are going to proceed, is it fine if we just await the outcome of the engagements in terms of paragraph 23.4 of the answering affidavit? Or let me just ask the broad question, how are we going to, or is that something that, yes, let me hear you. Let me just hear you.
Well, the in-camera application has been withdrawn.
Yes, that's why I prefaced the point that I'm making.
So we're going to proceed as we proposed, which is to lay out the evidence before the Commission that we've advised we wish to traverse. It concerns topics that were raised in the answering affidavit, but not only the evidence that was attached to the answering affidavit, because the topics, for example, the improper use of one's position to benefit an enterprise that has criminal allegations attached to this enterprise. There's a range of evidence that's relevant to that topic. So the evidence would be what we deem to be material that can't ever be subject to some form of confidentiality because it concerns tenders and the like. The second is, so I've covered the two. It's what's in the answering affidavit additional evidence that's relevant. And third, evidence in relation to General Khan's, the financial position, wealth and lifestyle. Those are the issues we wish to put before the Commission, and given that the application has been withdrawn, we see no reason why we shouldn't proceed along that basis. What we can engage my learned friends on is additional evidence that that General Khan has said he wants to put before the Commission and that he has concerned about. Now, what my learned friend didn't talk about was paragraphs 27 to 46 of their founding affidavit. So I presume that that is the evidence that is of concern in those paragraphs. And we can engage my learned friends on that and how we deal with it and when we deal with it. So that is separate from what we will be wanting to proceed with on Friday.
Ms. Hassim, I thought it was not so much the content, but the procedure. How do you intend to proceed on Friday in the absence of General Khan? So if you can just address that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Not so
Commissioner
much
Kumar.
the content
So
of...
it's not without precedent. We would follow the same kind of approach that was followed when a previous witness, Mr. Van Wyk, was unable to be present. And the evidence is led. And that does not mean that the witness, in this case General Khan, wouldn't have an opportunity to respond. In due course, he would have an opportunity to respond.
So in summary, the evidence leaders intend to present that evidence to the Commission, and if General Khan at any point should come back, he can respond to that.
That is correct.
As today's proceedings came to a close, one message from the Commission was unmistakable. Serious allegations require solid evidence, not speculation. The commissioners and evidence leaders made it clear that they believe the integrity of the Madlanga Commission must be protected. While General Khan's legal team acknowledged and apologized for aspects of the media briefing that had drawn criticism, the Commission has also confirmed that despite General Khan's absence, the evidence leaders intend to continue presenting evidence, with General Khan expected to have an opportunity to respond at a later stage. What impact this testimony will have on the Commission's final findings remains to be seen. But today's hearing raised important questions about public statements, legal responsibility, and the handling of evidence in one of South Africa's most closely watched inquiries. What do you think? Did the Commission respond appropriately, or do you believe General Khan's legal team had valid concerns? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss South Africa's biggest crime stories, court cases, and commission hearings. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.